Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Tales of Herding God Part 190 based on novel. So let's start. There was a scribe-written account from the winter of the 17th year of the 60-year cycle. It described the event of the Jade Mountain of Imperial College sinking 50 yards, as scarlet flames came out of its caves in a radius of 800 miles, which had been an abnormally beautiful sight. However, the scribe hadn't recorded the cause of the event. He only used sublime words with deep meaning to mention Heavenly Saint Academy's Grand Chancellor Qin neglecting his teachings, and being punished by the Emperor to forfeit his salary of the next 2 years. His rank had also been dropped from 4th ranking to lower 5th. According to the people in the palace, it had been an early morning that day when the Emperor was alarmed by a loud explosion. He hurriedly flew to have a look and saw that the place of the explosion was Jade Dragon Lake. Countless red dragon carps in the lake were hit and floated on the water's surface. Jade Dragon Lake itself was several times larger than normal and several times deeper. The Emperor had then flown into a rage. According to the reports, there was an injury on the Emperor's hand while he was shouting to behead someone. At that time, the Emperor carried a knife while wandering around the mountain, but he couldn't find that someone. He only stumbled upon a sleeping dragon Qin and chest. He stood guard beside them, but when he still didn't see the person by the afternoon, he finally gave up. Rumors said that someone had escaped 1,000 miles away in the early morning. So when afternoon came, the dragon Qin, who had woken up, had to ride the chest for 2 days and 2 nights to catch up. There were other rumors saying that the Emperor had gone to the army camp and loitered around Sunshot Divine Cannon for half a day before finally sighing. His merit is greater than his trouble, so his crime is not worthy of death yet. I should just demote him and take away his salary. After that, he put away his huge knife and turned to leave. Of course, these were all rumors and there was no way to verify them. The scribes of the imperial court would never record such things that had no basis. Over 10 days later, Qin Mu set up between life and death in Great Ruins Border Dragon City, and a long river stretched through the sky. Border Dragon City became a place connected to Fingju, and it was extraordinarily bustling for a period of time. Border Dragon City was originally Qin family's property, and most of the shops in it belonged to Heavenly Saint cult. Eternal Peace would ship goods there to sell to Great Ruins, and Great Ruins goods would be sent through there to be sold to Eternal Peace. That city was the first station before entering Great Ruins, so the divine arts practitioners would usually choose it to settle down. After Qin Mu's arrival, the number of divine arts practitioners in Border Dragon City had multiplied, and the prices were skyrocketing. Xianxiang and Hu Linga were so happy that they were beaming with joy. After a few days, an official of Ministry of Revenue came to Great Ruins wanting to collect tax, and was attacked verbally by Qin Mu. He then went back to complain to Emperor Yangfeng, who didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Great Ruins is not part of Eternal Peace's territory, so him not killing you when you went to collect tax is already giving me face. According to the rules of their Great Ruins, you should have been beheaded. Don't create trouble, Great Ruins isn't our land. Your Majesty, Grand Chancellor Qin is earning money too fiercely. The trade and commerce in Border Dragon City is a huge business. Minister of Revenue protested. On top of that, Your Majesty has to pave roads which will connect West Earth and Eternal Peace, but they will have to pass through Border Dragon City. The 2 roads planned by Grand Chancellor Qin both have to pass through there. Border Dragon City will definitely become the first strategic town of Great Ruins, and its wealth will be leading in the world. This minister thinks that Grand Chancellor definitely has selfish motives, borrowing the imperial court's money to pave roads for his hometown. With a sense of helplessness, Emperor Yangfeng looked deeply into his eyes. He then said meaningfully, West Earth was conquered by him, saving us all the funds and provisions that would have been required for the troops. He also spared the countless soldiers from dying in the war. However, the divine arts practitioners that go to Border Dragon City are all people of my eternal peace. If they spend money there and can't be taxed, that place will become a country in a country, and our eternal peace's wealth will definitely be lost. If this continues, how dreadful would it be? Our eternal peace will have no money to use, the minister stated. Emperor Yang Feng didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Daoist Yuan Feng, you are an algebra expert of Taoism, so how can you not understand? Minister of Revenue was puzzled. This small official is slow-witted. May your majesty enlighten me. Emperor Yang Feng smiled at him. The divine arts practitioners that go to Border Dragon City use the great abundance coins of my eternal peace. If they want to spend the money, they still have to earn it in my eternal peace, so they will still have to return. Minister of Revenue frowned. But what if great abundance coins circulate in great ruins and don't return to eternal peace? Emperor Yang Feng smiled. If great abundance coins could replace gold, silver, and treasures that circulate in great ruins, that would be even more wonderful. Think, the imperial court is the one minting coins. With that, wouldn't the imperial court be in control of great ruins which couldn't mint its own coins? Wouldn't the imperial court then have a say in how much wealth great ruins have? When great abundance coins replace gold and silver, the imperial court will be able to use great abundance coins to buy mines and rivers. With great abundance coins everywhere, unifying great ruins would be just around the corner. Minister of Revenue was tongue-tied. Emperor Yang Feng threw his memorial and stood up to look outside with a deep gaze. To not spend a soldier and just great abundance coins to gain a rich land like great ruins, what a bargain are we getting for this deal? You are still too straightforward, thinking that the money flowing into great ruins is a bad thing. You don't know how to use money to unify the lands, which is the highest quality of invasion. When ruling a country, one cannot be bothered with minor gains or losses, but have to see far, dozens or even hundreds of years into the future. When Grand Chancellor wants to earn money, it's just a few coins. When I want to earn money, it's about rivers and mountains, no blood on the men's swords, aiding the people, and unifying the economy. Minister of Revenue was completely won over. Your Majesty's words can be used to alert the later generations. In Border Dragon City, Qin Mu looked at the divine arts practitioners bustling in the streets, and the merchants coming and going endlessly. Those people of Eternal Peace Empire made Border Dragon City much livelier than before. If Imperial Preceptor managed to bring the divine arts practitioners of West Earth to pave the road and open a path between West Earth and Eternal Peace, the people of Great Ruins wouldn't have to live so bitterly. Qin Mu calculated. Over a month had passed since Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor had led the people of Heavenly Works Hall to the west. Thus, they should have already turned the desert into green plains. By using Green Dragon Bead of West Earth, they could achieve that with quite some ease. After that, they would need to create streams by drawing water from the snow on the mountains into the desert for dense vegetation to stay alive and grow. If Heavenly Works Hall could bore a hole in the mountains to the south of the desert, they could draw the water vapor above the South Sea to the north. With that, the desert would have no shortage of water, and they wouldn't have to worry about making rain and snow fall. In just a few years, the flaming desert would become history. Once the road was paved, West Earth, Great Ruins, and Eternal Peace would be connected by a smooth road without any obstructions. Merchants would go past the towns and cities in Great Ruins on their way, and the people of Great Ruins would become rich as well. Divine Physician Qin, I heard you are a person from Great Ruins. Shingan, who stood behind him, broke into his thoughts. You are a person of Great Ruins, yet you bring the power of Eternal Peace Empire into it. You are a sinner. There is no country in great ruins, so how am I a sinner? Qin Mu was bewildered. The people of great ruins make the best use of local resources without any ruler. Even if eternal peace empire came, the people from there would also become the people of great ruins. The guest will not become the owner here, for they must follow the rules of great ruins. Over here, they are the only way to live instead of any law of the emperor. Shingan shook his head. I haven't interacted much with Emperor Yangfeng, but I can see his great skills and strategy. He will unify great ruins in the future. When that time comes, you will regret it. Qin Mu smiled. If the emperor dares to make a move on great ruins, he won't be able to sit on his throne for much longer. You should know how terrifying great ruins is. These stone statues, he said while pointing at the temples in Border Dragon City. They are waiting for a call to revive. Once they do, the world is going to flip. Eternal peace will never become the owner of this land, since it is someone else. His gaze flickered as he smiled. I chased away the Minister of Revenue, and the Emperor still hasn't found trouble for me, so I can see his plans clearly. It's just that his ideas are empty thoughts. If the Emperor could surpass founding Emperor, they might have a chance of coming true, otherwise, they are nothing but an illusion. I'm about to go sweep the tombs, will senior brother Shingan be coming along? Shingan glanced at the chest that had grown legs, then looked away. I'll follow wherever you go. I'll leave only when I'll find the person I want. Qin Mu frowned. I'll go sweep the tomb after you settle your thing. Hall of Human Emperors was a secret that only the past human emperors knew about. With Shingan by his side, he couldn't head to Hall of Human Emperors, otherwise, its location would be exposed and bring unnecessary trouble. Besides, who knew if Shingan wouldn't dig out the bodies of the past human emperors to collect them? After a dozen days, the Imperial Court, Heavenly Saint Cult, Dao Sect, Great Thunderclap Monastery, and the rest collected the information of the people born at the specified time. There were up to 30,000 people. The official that had sent the information said, knowledge from the prairie, snow plains, and West Earth hasn't been gathered completely yet. Shingan looked at the 30,000 scrolls, and couldn't help feeling a heavy weight settle on his shoulders. After a moment, he said, the person I want to find is a man, so separate the men from the women. The official immediately gave instructions to those under him, and once everything was sorted out, he said, there is a total of 17,000 men of which only 8,000 are alive. Most of them had died in the battles and disasters. After a moment, Shingan said, exclude those that aren't divine arts practitioners. The official gave his orders again, and let the officials of Ministry of Revenue sort the information again. After a while, he reported, there are 400 divine arts practitioners left. Shingan was silent for a moment before saying, check if there were any abnormal sights when these 400 people were born. I'm looking for a divine practitioner who wears a jade pendant. The official then ordered to check the 400 men. Qin Mu watched the proceedings with a doubt growing in his heart. Every time Shingan gives an order, he hesitates as though it's not him that's giving the order. It's like he is listening to someone else's words. That's right, he jumped off the bridge of helplessness and sunk into Yudu, which is much more dangerous than Fingju. Monsters overflowing with grievances are everywhere there, so how did he get back? Could it be? His gaze flickered, and a gate of heaven influence suddenly appeared behind him. Once it formed, Qin Mu transformed into a snake-headed human, and a straight eye opened up at the heart of his brows. Shingan immediately noticed it and turned around to face him. His eyes were dense with divine light, which blocked Qin Mu's gaze. He then said indifferently, Divine Physician Qin, there are some things you are better off not knowing. Qin Mu laughed and dispersed his Saturn sovereign form. Inside, he was ineffably shocked. When he looked at Shingan while the man was off guard, he had seen a terrifying eye hidden in the other's life and death divine treasure. Just then, that terrifying eye had noticed his gaze and was about to look at him. However, it was intercepted by Shingan. The official came to report at that moment. We couldn't find any divine arts practitioner wearing a jade pendant when he was born. After all, being born with a jade in the mouth is a legend. That person wasn't born with a jade in the mouth. Shingan was silent for a moment before taking out a drawing. His jade pendant is used to suppress his devil nature. This is the picture of it. Since you can't find that divine arts practitioner that's born at the right time, hang pictures of this jade pendant in every city and find its location. Divine Physician Qin, order your men to make 1,000 copies of this drawing. Qin Mu took the painting and his gaze fell on the picture of the jade pendant. Shingan saw that he was looking at it in detail and asked, "Has Divine Physician Qin seen this kind of pendant before?" Qin Mu shook his head. "I've never seen it before." Shingan's gaze flickered, and he took out a mirror. "I've forgotten to ask, but how old is Divine Physician Qin now?" "I'm 23 this year," Qin Mu said honestly. "I've wasted 23 years of my life, and still have achieved nothing. I can't help sighing endlessly and shedding silent tears. Divine Physician Qin is 23 years old and has already achieved so much. It is already extraordinary." Shingan turned around and raised the mirror in his hand. In the meantime, he exclaimed in admiration sincerely. "Not only are you Heavenly Devil Cult Master, who controls 1,000,000 divine arts practitioners at 23 years, but you also have other high positions like Heavenly Saint Academy Grand Chancellor and Human Emperor. You are the richest in the world and have a vast group of friends. How many people could have your kind of achievements at 23 years old? It's just you." He raised his mirror to catch a glimpse of the youth, but he couldn't see him at all. Stunned, he heard Qin Mu's voice coming from afar. Fatty dragon, tell the divine arts practitioners that just arrived to not run around at night. This is great ruins, they will die. Those with loud voices, come. Give a few shouts for the divine arts practitioners to not go out of the city at night." Shingan put away his mirror and went after him. When Qin Mu finally stopped for a moment, he took out the mirror to capture his reflection, yet there was no figure of Qin Mu in the mirror once more. The youth's voice came from far away again. "Yushio, can you find a few painters from the palace? Brother Shingan gave me a drawing of which I need to make 1,000 copies to send to all parts of the empire." Shingan's eyebrows rose as he thought to himself, if the person Lu Li wants to find is him, he wouldn't have examined that drawing of the jade pendant in such detail. Could I be too suspicious? However, why is he trying to avoid me? He caught up to Qin Mu once more as his gaze flickered. If he runs again, I'll suppress him in place with my magic power. At that moment, the well-rounded young woman of Ling family took a glance at the painting and said in astonishment, "This jade pendant, I seem to have seen it before." Shingan's attention was caught, and he stopped bothering with Qin Mu right away. He hurriedly asked, "Princess of Ling family, have you really seen this before?" Ling Yuxiu had been in charge of the military situation on the northern border, so her skin was very fair under the nourishment of the snow plains. She was going through puberty as well, so her face had become slightly longer, looking more delicate and pretty. However, her body was still well-rounded. When she returned to the capital for debriefing, Qin Mu had set up between life and death, so she took the chance to come to Border Dragon City. Other than to rendezvous with her lover, she also went there for training. I've seen it once before. Ling Yuxiu had undergone the training of the army, so she was much more mature than before. However, she still liked to dress as a man and looked very suave. I've seen it in one of the ruins in Great Ruins. Great Ruins? Shingan's heart trembled violently, and he asked in a hurry, was the person a youth? Not really. I just saw this kind of writings in the ruin. There was also a swaddle and a wooden horse there, so it looked like a child had lived there before. Qin Mu looked at Shingan, who went silent again. It was evident that he was communicating with the weird eye in his life and death divine treasure. He looked at the mirror in Shingan's hand with curiosity. Shingan had kept on trying to point it at him, which was why he had avoided it. Senior brother Shingan, you also like to carry mirrors. Could this mirror be some remarkable treasure? Qin Mu's gaze flickered, and he made a grab for the mirror. Can you lend it to me? I think I have a pimple on my face, so I want to take a look. Piak. Shingan slapped his hand away, and stuffed the mirror into his Daotai sack, while saying indifferently, "Don't touch my stuff. You are poisonous." Princess Ling, where's the place you had gone to before? Can you bring me there? He had communicated with the weird eye in his life and death divine treasure, so it was probably the weird eye that wanted him to go take a look. Ling Yuxiu hesitated for a moment before saying, I would still like to make a trip to Fingju, so I don't have the time to bring you there. However, I remember the way there, so I can draw it for you. Shingan gave his thanks. Ling Yuxiu asked for brush and ink from Qin Mu and drew a geographical map. Shingan then asked calmly, is there any danger there? Ling Yuxiu smiled at him. If there was danger, how could I have lived to return? Who else could be the strongest in the world other than Senior Shingan? Shingan smiled back at her. If you could live to return, I naturally can too. Divine Physician Qin, come with me. Qin Mu hesitated. Senior brother, why do you need to bring me along if you're just going to Great Ruins to find a person? I've already helped you look for him, and I'm still going to help you hang his drawing throughout eternal peace. As long as there's news, I will inform you. You can find the tracks of the jade pendant, while I go to Hall of Human Emperors to sweep their tombs. If I keep delaying it, all of the past human emperors are going to curse me to join them sooner. Shingan looked at the geographical map that Ling Yuxiu had drawn and said seriously, Princess Ling, if I don't find the word on the jade pendant there, you should know the consequences. Your Ling family will be wiped out from this world. Ling Yuxiu shuddered as she forced a smile. I didn't lie to you. Shingan turned to leave. Qin Mu and Ling Yuxiu let out sighs of relief. Ling Yuxiu wiped off the sweat on her forehead and was about to speak, but Qin Mu raised his hand. She then hurriedly closed her mouth. They knew what the other was thinking, and their primordial spirits left their bodies to move far away. After getting tens of thousands of miles away from Border Dragon City, Ling Yuxiu's primordial spirit asked, the one that herds cows, what is that place? Is it dangerous? The lives of my Ling family rest on this. The reason why she said that was because Qin Mu had taken the chance, when Shingan was off guard, to use the brainwaves of Heavenly Feather Clan to communicate with her, telling her what to draw. Between Heavenly Feather clansmen, words weren't needed. They all relied on brainwaves to communicate with each other. Without a sound, just by moving one's consciousness, they could tell the other party what they were thinking. They could move together as one, which made them very flexible. Even though there was a very huge flaw in communicating with consciousness, this kind of method was very useful for keeping secrets. Don't worry, all that you told Shingan, he will find there. However, he won't learn anything useful there, Qin Mu's primordial spirit said. After he goes there, if he immediately turns back, he'll still be able to walk out. But if he is insistent on going further to find more clues, it will depend on his wisdom if he'll be able to walk out or not. Back then, when village chief and the rest barged in, they almost couldn't return. It was Grandpa Mute who had rescued them. After Shingan returns, he won't kill you because of this, since you didn't lie at all. The place to which Shingan was going was where they had once suspected to be Carefree Village. It was a huge ship that was forged by Heavenly Works God race, but they hadn't managed to reach Carefree Village. They had suffered an ambush from the enemy, and got trapped in an incomparably gigantic cube along with the ship. Heavenly Works god race had spent countless generations and sacrificed countless people to finally let a child walk out of the seal. Qin Mu suspected that Mute was that child. After all, village chief and the rest had relied on Mute to lead them out. If Shingan stepped into that place and turned back immediately, he could still barge out. However, if he entered, he would be trapped by the seals. Ling Yuxiu let out a sigh of relief and asked, "Why is Shingan looking for you? That jade pendant is clearly yours." Qin Mu shook his head. "I also don't know. However, there's an extremely powerful being hiding in his life and death realm, and it is extremely terrifying. Shingan must have been threatened by it. I only saw the eye of that being and not the body. However, for Shingan to fall into Yudu and come back alive, that eye in his divine treasure must belong to a devil god of Yudu." Ling Yuxiu frowned. "If Shingan is able to escape..." Qin Mu shook his head. "It should be able to trap him for half a year. After he comes out, we will continue to help him find the jade pendant youth." His gaze became weird when he said in a low voice, "When he comes out, he will discover that no matter if it's Middle Earth or West Earth, the prairie, the snow plains, or great ruins, this jade pendant can be found everywhere. Try guessing why that is so." Ling Yuxia rolled her eyes at him. "I know you are capable, stop bragging." Qin Mu laughed, and their primordial spirits returned to their corporeal bodies. The sky outside had already turned dark. Beside the river in between life and death, a pleasure boat was about to sail. Hu Linga and Sai Yunxiang let the people who had paid money to board it, and they went through the river in the sky toward Fingju. Ling Yuxiu had also boarded that boat. Outside the city, Qin Mu walked into the darkness, followed by the dragon Qilin sitting on the chest, which was filled with items like fruits and sacrificial offerings. The chest was displeased about these things, but it was helpless since Qin Mu had forcefully stuffed all of them into its stomach. Hall of Human Emperors is the same as Little Jade Capital, another broken piece of founding Emperor Celestial Heavens. Qin Mu's gaze flickered as he walked through the darkness while holding a black lump in his hand. He thought to himself, "Second ancestor, and the rest didn't tell me where to go, just that I need to activate Human Emperor's seal. But how is it going to find Hall of Human Emperor?" His vital qi flooded into Human Emperor's seal, and it trembled gently. It was different from when he'd activated Human Emperor's seal the previous time. The last time he had executed the seal, he saw the years of hardship of the human race after eradication of founding emperor era. The consciousness hidden in the Human Emperor's seal had struck out in all directions and spread through the world. However, village chief and a group of experts had helped him back then. Now there was only Qin Mu, so he naturally couldn't unleash the call of Human Emperor's seal with just his consciousness. Qin Mu used his vital qi to test it, and his heart suddenly shook. His vital qi had touched a marking in the Human Emperor's seal. The next instant, Human Emperor's seal gently trembled, and a ray of light shot out, hitting Qin Mu's eyes. The light then vanished. Qin Mu shook his head and opened his eyes to look. A light shone down from somewhere and landed directly under his legs. Astonished, Qin Mu turned back to look. "Fatty dragon, can you see the light?" The dragon Qilin was asleep, but he hurriedly raised his head to look around. "What light?" "Only I can see this light." Qin Mu hurriedly took out a mirror and pointed it at himself. He saw that there was a strange rune in his eyes, and he reckoned that it was the reason he saw that light. "So that's how you go to Hall of Human Emperors." Qin Mu followed the light. Meanwhile, village chief returned to Fingju, which was currently very lively. There was a long river and a bridge in the sky above the city. The bridge was crowded with gods and devils while a bunch of skeletons stood on the pleasure boat underneath. "What is happening?" Village chief was astonished. He suddenly saw human Emperor Qi on the bridge, and his eyes lit up. He waved and shouted to him, "Old man Qi, over here. I'm back. I have astonishing news, something about the overlord body. You won't believe this. 40,000 years ago, there was actually an appearance of the overlord body. Come down quickly. I have a rubbing of the inscription here." Human Emperor Qi jumped off the bridge and pointed at village chief. Don't move. I'll call second ancestor and the rest over." Village chief smiled at him. "Aren't you going to take a look at the inscription first? Enjoying happiness alone is not as great as sharing it. Let's wait for the other human emperors to come before we read it together." Human Emperor Qi looked at him with sincerity in his eyes. Village chief was puzzled. This old fart's smile seems to be a little familiar. Why is he so polite to me today? What are those human emperors doing again? Why is it so bustling? In Fingju city, King Yama stood in front of Hall of King Qin and looked into the city. He could see palaces collapsing one after another, and asked suspiciously, "Are the disciples beating the masters again?" The beatings look quite ruthless. A huge bird flew over and landed on the ground to transform into bird-headed god Kai Xiu. He pruned his feathers and shook his head. King Yama has guessed wrong. It's not disciples beating up the masters, but the masters ganging up with the ancestors to beat the last disciple. Human Emperor Su has come back and got beaten up by his master, grandmaster, and all the ancestors. He is getting beaten quite miserably, but he can't die even if he wanted. King Yama was quite astonished. They have changed the rules. I also don't know, but it seems to be about the overlord body. Human Emperor Su brought an inscription, and said that it's the legend of the overlord body from 40,000 years ago. Second ancestor and the rest had smiled while listening, but after that, they surrounded him and started beating him up. God Kai Xiu paused for a moment. After that, when human Emperor Su resisted, he got beaten up even more miserably. They talked about how he deceived the masters and ancestors, how he schemed them and allowed the little human emperor to beat them. I only heard bits and pieces, but human Emperor Su is getting beaten quite badly. The other gods and devils don't dare to go forward to break up the fight. The cult masters of Heavenly Saint cult are even cheering on the fight, and wishing for the whole world to be in chaos. Should I stop them? King Yama was silent for a moment. No need for that. If you go and stop them, they will gang up on you. Deep in the night, it was still extremely lively in the darkness of great ruins. Countless monsters appeared while Shingan hurried past them. The divine light around his body forced back the invasion of the dark substances, as he headed toward the location Ling Yuxiu had marked. His mind trembled when he saw a huge sealed space. Pieces of forest were located up, down, left, and right of the gigantic cube, covering its every side. Meanwhile, in the sealed space, there was a humongous ship that was countless times larger than sun ship and moon ship. It was the huge ship forged by Heavenly Works god race of founding Emperor Celestial Heavens to head toward Carefree Village, Parameter Arc. This ship was tattered, which made it evident that a bloody battle had happened on it. That was the reason why the ship was destroyed and could no longer advance. Shingan could see the danger, and he hesitated slightly. In the end though, he still stepped inside. He was the strongest existence in the current world, so even though he had seen the danger, he was confident that he could leave it easily. Not long later, he came to the little village in the forest, and Shingan's mind trembled. He indeed saw the pictures that were similar to the jade pendant. The little princess of Ling family didn't lie to me. At that moment, he discovered that he was not the only one there. The door of a courtyard was open, and he saw someone's back there. This is the person I'm looking for. Shingan couldn't help growing excited. He took out his mirror and turned around to point it at that person. The man turned around, revealing his face full of wrinkles. He smiled at him. Ah. Shingan was slightly stunned. It was an elder and not the person he was looking for. The elder was carrying a chest, and had an iron forging furnace nearby. You are very strong. Shingan turned to face him with a calm expression. You have made me feel the delight in seeing a prey, after noticing the boundless energy in your body. It's extremely terrifying. You might be the most terrifying opponent I've met in recent years. Ah. The elder's face wrinkled like the skin of a tangerine. He smiled happily and signaled twice. Shingan didn't understand and talked by himself. I want to collect you very much. Show me your strongest moves and let me see your abilities. Boom. The furnace beside the elder blazed, and flames rushed over 10 miles into the sky. Shingan instantly felt the space burning, but the most terrifying thing wasn't that furnace. The threat came from the body of the elder. His dantian suddenly burst forth with dazzling light, like a small sun exploding with incomparable energy. Shingan was excited when he saw a divine bridge behind the elder stretching into the sky. On it was his primordial spirit, that had a bird's head and a human's body, while extreme heat energy radiated off it. The primordial spirit leaped up and crossed the bridge, entering the celestial heavens above it. Boom. The magic power of the elder exploded violently once again, and the blazing heat could warp the space. Suddenly, the chest opened by itself, and countless silver pellets flew out like flowing water. They covered the elder's body, and instantly turned him into a general clad in silver armor. 2 silver lights became 2 huge hammers, which smashed toward Shingan. When the hammer hit him, Shingan felt like an obstinate iron on an iron felt. He was being forged into a form that the elder wanted. How strong? Your dantian is even stronger than the God Realm's dantians I collected from the other strong practitioners. Shingan was ineffably excited. He raised his hand and ripples swirled. An apparition of a vast sea appeared behind his body, and sounds of waves rushed into the sky. He took the strike head-on and was blown out of the little village. The elder rushed after him, his huge hammers rising and falling as they attacked. This video will end here.